modern society is also trying to get rid of our empathy.
Yeah.
A lot of our empathy is what we will know how the brother is feeling. It's like, hey, their children hungry and thirsty. It's like that should be already a wake-up call. Millions of children dying of thirst and hunger should be a wake-up call for somebody that has the resources to fix that problem.
Yeah.
But if you can feel at that level,
because we're so drained, because we see a million of those things on here every second.
Exactly.
Demand after demand after demand on your empathy, and then it's just gone. You don't have any of it.
It's gone. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like empathy is one of those huge things that we have to try to rescue in order to do the steps that require. And it's
for you,
not easy,
like,
yeah.
how has that gone personally, of like protecting your capacity for empathy and your ability to regulate, and increasing that capacity? Like, how are you doing that kind of on a daily, weekly, yearly basis?
Yeah, so I feel like it all comes down to that connection that I was talking about. Because like the way we do it, the way we have developed it, for a long time, a lot of people have been doing that forever, but basically I feel like connection to self is where you start checking about how you are, your body. Connection to community. If you start having relationships with the members of your community, you will understand that it's not just as simple as left wing and right wing, or left and right, black and white. It's not as simple. We're humans. We're so complex.
Yeah.
That is, once we start getting to know each other, then we're like, oh, actually, he's a nice guy. It's like, so I feel like connection to place is where you start to make sure that you are to making sure that you are breathing so you can feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Checking in with your body to see if you're staying grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Checking your voice level, the way your brain is thinking, going deep into your brain. It's like, yeah, why are you really doing it? So that huge connection to self is the hardest, I feel like. And then connection to place, by walking in the woods, by fishing the river, by getting to know the trees that are around you, by getting to know the plants, the medicinal plants, the edible plants, even just by planting a garden, just by touching the ground, and the thinking you get through when you're doing that, I feel like it's healing.
Yeah.
Connection to place. And then the third one, connection to community. What I was saying, when you start getting to know the people of your community, then you can create empathy.
Yeah.
You can start building those links that sometimes we're missing.
Yeah.
And then the other one we talked about here is connection to spirit, connection to the spirit of place, and that sometimes is connected to the ancestors, the people that lived here before us, and how do they connect it? What kind of rituals, rites of passage, what kind of trainings did they do to connect?
So much of that has been lost.
Yeah, so it's like a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
It's like a forever journey to try to improve as a person, and that's my thing. Like I was telling you about one of my mentors, Matt Smith, the one that did all of that. That's one of the sayings he said during his high-speed survival class: stagnation is death.
Yeah.
If you are in a situation where you're just, I'm just gonna sit here, depending on the survival situation,
Yeah, sometimes
you have to sit. You have to sit, and they'll come for you, and they'll find you there.
Yeah.
You can get lost if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you are trained and you know the town is right there, and you are in a bad situation, and you are capable and able to come through, you should move. At least that's what's the teaching of this class. But I feel the same way in life. Like if I just stay and I don't try to grow, and I feel like I'm starting to go backwards.
Yeah.
And if I try to constantly improve myself as a human, improve my empathy, improve my relationships to my community, my family, it's as simple as, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, we make it so complicated.
Yeah, it's as simple as washing the dishes at your house.
Yeah.
It's as simple as taking the time to really connect to your kids.
Yeah.
As simple as having time with your partner.
Yeah.
Cooking food, those simple things. That's how it is.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part to do. It's a lot
Because
of
it means you can't commit to everything else.
Yeah, and a lot of times, as is, trying to be a leader in the community could be a really heavy thing.
Yeah.
Because people, as I said, are going through a lot of really serious issues, especially now with the racial inequality and the COVID and blah 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 blah. It's damaging a lot of our relationships to ourselves, to our community, to spirit, and to the land that we're living in.
Yeah.
So, as simple as planting a garden, as simple as planting a tree, as simple as getting to know one of your plant allies.
Yeah.
In case you get a bee sting, you can grab plantain and help it.
Yeah.
Those simple things, I think, are the ones that get you into the path.
Yeah.
Once you're into it and once you get to know those things and you see that they help you, then you can keep going into getting the circle bigger, getting more community involved, trying to solve bigger problems in the community.
Yeah, I think there's a kindness in that of it doesn't take a ton of resources. Like we were talking offline before. I want to show this since we actually have visuals, about how this little simple kit. I mean, this is kind of fancy, but you could put together what's in this for next to nothing. Like this little tiny fishing tin. Mm-hmm. I was like, from watching you actually on alone, I was like, I'm gonna try this hand line fishing thing. Yeah. I've got a little piece of fishing line in here wrapped around some foam and a couple of hooks, and I was taking a hike with my kids at a local camp that some friends of ours manage, and we were going down to the creek and we saw some fish in there. I was like, I've got this thing in my bag. I've never used it. Why not? Let's try it out. We saw some fish, and I had no idea what kind of fish they were. I'm like, well, maybe they're Asian carp. We need to get them out of there and kill them anyway. So let's give it a shot. And cast from the bank for a few minutes. Well, that's not working. I let my son cast for a little bit, and nothing. And we went back across the stream, and they're splashing around. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try from the middle of the stream. Why not? And toss at a different angle a little bit later, and oh my God, I got a fish! This thing actually works. And that connection to that place and understanding, the fish see this bait differently based on where I'm standing.
Where you're standing,
and and the temperature of the water and the time of day and what kind of fish it is. Like, whoa, there's volumes and volumes of books and conversations and things, lessons to learn about just this one experience.
Yeah, and it's the same. Yeah, I feel the same way.
And so I wrestle with the constant distraction to want to go to the phone, or medicate with eating chips on the couch and watching TV at night with my wife or whatever. Even though that's a good thing to connect with her, but instead, if we could go to more of what you're saying of letting those moments inform us to further curiosity, to further connection, of wow, that moment was so powerful. What was so powerful about that? What would I like to learn more?
Yeah, how did I get so excited about this one fish I caught?
How can we do this again? How can I do that in a bigger river or in Canada or in the winter? I have no idea.
That's how I started healing when a lot of people my age, teenagers in El Salvador, started going to substances, abuse of substances in order to cope with what was happening in the war. And of course I did it too as well. I was drinking heavily in high school and doing whatever, Yeah,
because that made sense to you at the time, in the environment you're in, of course, that's...
Yeah, and I remember when I tried to start healing from that, I moved to my mom was like, I had enough. You're going war has a special way of separating families, so by then my parents were separated.
Oh yeah.
So my mom was like, I had enough, you're going to your dad's. So I went to my dad's and he lived by a lake. And after going through a couple of days of detox, then I started walking the lake and I saw local fishermen just hand lining.
Yeah.
And that's how I started fishing.
Wow.
It's just I went to the store and bought a couple little hooks and with little rocks and by the line and start hand lining. And when I started catching fish, I had the same feeling. It's like, whoa, this feels so good. What am I? I can get fish home to,
Yeah,
to
and
cook
you
and
didn't have to
eat
go
and-
to a fancy store and get a $300 rod reel setup
Yeah.
and all that. It's like you have a line and a hook, and that's it.
and it works, and it gives you that even more satisfaction because you know it's been difficult to
Yeah.
to acquire the fish. And so yeah, I that's when I feel like without knowing I started understanding how that connection to those things, to nature, and to try to connect to land are actually helping me in a deeper level that I had at the time. I didn't have that knowledge that like, oh no, it's helping me heal my trauma just by fishing
Yeah.
here. I didn't understand that. Same when I went to art school. Making art is helping me heal from trauma.
Yeah.
And once you start realizing it, once you start writing about it, I had some professors that, oh, you should write about your experiences. And like, and I'm like, no, I don't even talk to my family about it. You know, it's like my family and I, we don't even open up the conversation because it's so heavy. You know, for your brain, your body. But then I started doing it, and it has a way to help you heal from trauma. And I feel like a lot of people, we all are working with some levels of trauma, some level of our nervous system getting shocked by all of these things that are going on. So, and the food, the food that we're having has a lot to do with that. That's why I feel like when I go hunting, connecting to my food instead of buying a super clean packaged meat from the store that might not be as nutritious as the one I'm hunting.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, all of those levels of connection, from the simplest thing, from just taking the time to look at a butterfly, going to a flower, you know, it can have deeper levels of connection that can help you in the long run.
I was listening to, no coincidence, I was listening to something on the way down by Dan Allender. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I'll have to send you the podcast to listen to. It's but he was talking about like starting to heal trauma. It's almost a Herculean effort to do it, but when you can, just naming, this is what hurt me, this is how I felt about it, to someone else, begins that healing process. And then you can start to like, oh wow, that really was trauma. You know, even for like guys like me, like growing up in the suburbs, like, goodness, you know, white guy growing up in America, what kind of trauma could I have possibly have had? Diminishes the, you know, real things that all of us go through.
No, but I feel like
comparing
also,
to someone who has had, you know, objectively more intense trauma, makes that more subtle trauma of, you know, experience like mine harder to heal from if you're not like, hey, I'm also had it way harder, but I've had my own kind of pain.
Exactly,
and I need to name it too.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. We cannot. I feel like the trauma that we are living, that we're getting now just by living in our modern society, it could be just as significant for some people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's real worries from mothers out there that they don't know how to feed their kids.
Yeah.
And that can create a lot of issues in their bodies, man.
Absolutely. You know? And dads who don't know how to relate to their kids other than to provide for them.
Yeah, and exactly. And it can transform into an angry state.
Yep.
And the dad that interferes with the relationship with your kid, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I feel like it's not just two-way traumas. Yeah, it's a lot more difficult when, for some people it could be really difficult to deal with the things that I dealt with, but that doesn't mean that their levels of trauma are not just as scary.
Yeah. So coming out of that experience of coming to the U.S., starting to do some of that healing, what has some of the other pieces of that journey been like, especially as you've gone deeper into that primitive skills practice and teaching that to others? How's that journey gone?
Yeah, so that's when I started enjoying hunting. I started hunting with guns, shotguns and rifles, and I love it. I still like shooting. You know, I have guns, I like them. But I grew up with them. You know, I'm really careful with them because I have family and kids. But I have them, and I did hunt with them. But the more I started hunting, the more I started understanding how that connection to the land in here there is a book by her last name is Kimmerer. It's called Braiding Sweetgrass, and she talks about how we can all become natives to place. Really important book, man. Really beautiful writing. She puts it so simple. She's an indigenous person, but she also comes from the academia side. So the way she writes it is, but she's explaining very similar things. That we all can become natives to place if we have those connections to our place.
Wow.
Really
that makes it really powerful, because growing up in the Midwest, you kind of had that stigma of, oh, you're just in flyover country, there's nothing special about it.
Nothing special about it. Or we're not, a lot of people are out there not really connected to the place because we're not completely feeling like natives. Oh no, the natives are here, we're just in Miami.
Right.
It's like, no, it's like, we are natives are here if you have those connections.
Right.
If you know your place, you can become a native to place.
Yeah.